Hello, my beautiful souls. How are you today? Welcome to another episode of Many Mistakes Ago podcast. I'm wearing a sports bra, but my hair is kind of hiding the straps. So I just, I was like, I promise, like, I'm wearing something. Anyway, that's besides the point. So today's episode is about knowing your worth. And last week, or I should say a few days ago, the last episode, we talked about affirmations. And the reason why I'm tying them together is because knowing your worth does take a lot of work, especially if you come from a place with like no self esteem or your self esteem was broken down by somebody else, which I've been there. I get it. It's really hard to understand that you're worthy and not get outside validation when you have been with a partner or somebody that has literally broken down your every being. Any confidence that you could possibly have is just like shattered. And I kind of want to get into this because I feel like a lot of people can maybe relate. I'm so sorry if you do, but I hope that talking with me and like listening to this podcast helps. So, when I dated Alec, this was back in high school. And mind you, I had been with a couple of people. I had been cheated on. I had really low self esteem, kind of to begin with. But I told myself that I was going to move to Connecticut with my mom and kind of like start over. And I figured it was the perfect opportunity. Like I moved to Connecticut with my mom after like being in Florida and just having some really bad experiences with relationships, with bullying. And I told myself like I'm going to be 100% me and just hope that hope that I can make life good essentially. And the thing is that I I did not know what was going to come out of anything. I was dating someone who I'm now friends with, but I was dating somebody long distance when I moved to Connecticut. And this was because I had a crush on this guy and we were friends for a while and we finally were just like, we should date. Um, and long distance is not for me. I think I quickly came to realize that I'm a very like touchy feely. I need a physical connection. It's very important to me. And not even like having intimacy like sex. I mean, like, I want to cuddle, I want to kiss, I want to hug you, I want to see you, I want to be in your presence. Like, that is very important to me. And I know that a lot of people struggle with long distance relationships or even don't do long distance relationships because they know they struggle. And then there are some people out there like doing it despite the struggle, and I give mad props, mad respect, because I know that some people don't need it, but there are a lot of people who do need that like physical connection and that physical intimacy and being able to see their partner. Um, so ultimately, we ended the relationship, and I had also, in the same breath, around the same time, had met this guy that I was like, I thought he was really funny. He was really nice to me, but he was definitely flirting, and I think his like consistency and his persistence and his ability to make me laugh is what kind of caught my eye because he is not a looker. In the most respectful way, he is not a looker. Um, and I fear that he had put on this front about who he was, and I didn't really see it or really want to see it because I definitely put on some rose colored glasses despite being like warned by other people about the type of guy that he was. And granted, these were coming from like girls, so at the time I was like, oh, they're probably just like, jealous, like he's really popular and like he's just popular, not in the sense of like football player popular, but in the sense of like he was like the class clown, like everyone like kind of knew who he was and stuff like that. And I was known as like his girlfriend. Mind you, I was like the new girl too. So I found it very sus, like looking back, like why did he have to go after the new girl? Like, I don't know. I guess in my opinion, I was just kind of like narcissistic people tend to like jump right into like the newest shiniest thing, and like I fear that like I should have definitely taken a step back, but I also just felt very alone and very, I guess, isolated and very vulnerable because I was so new and I was having trouble making friends. Like, I was literally eating lunch in the nurse's office. Like, it was embarrassing for me because I was like, I was not a popular kid. I was the emo girl wearing, like, all black, like, very much after everything that had happened to me so this was after my diabetes diagnosis. I had depression, but I can't remember. I think it was diagnosed at this point, but I hadn't been diagnosed with like recurrent major depressive disorder because that's like later on in life. That was like in my like junior senior year of high school. So I'm like coming in as a sophomore, right, in Connecticut, and it was very overwhelming because like I said, I had no friends, I knew nobody, and I was not social. I'm a very introverted person, which I feel like a lot of people find it hard to believe because I'm so open and talkative on like social media. And I think that stems from my fear of like connecting with people and like getting hurt because it has happened so often that I'm like, no, I'm gonna build up these walls. But like, obviously, I'm 28 now, so I feel like I've gotten a little bit better with like making friends and like having and getting over those fears of like having friends and making friends and then just getting hurt and like crushed by like the people that I was friends with. And granted, I will like straight up, this is Many Mistakes Ago podcast, right? I will straight up say that there are friends out there that I fucked up. Hi, I'm taking accountability. I know that they're out there and I know exactly who I'm talking about when I say that. However, there are also friends that I struggled to feel like I was like wanted in their life. And I think my insecurities got the best of me, and I feel as though either that or other things had ruined the friendship. But overall, I have always struggled with feeling like I was irreplaceable in someone's life in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not irreplaceable, but like I struggled with believing that other people actually love and care about me. That's like the main point. And I think we're not going to get too far into depth with that, but essentially that is going to stem from everything that's happened with my family, with my father. And again, we're not in a therapy session, so we're not going to talk about that. But to get back to the storyline of when I met Alec, I feel as though I was very much vulnerable and in like a struggled place, right? And I feel like he made me feel valued and he made me feel like wanted, and he had pursued me, and I liked that. I didn't have to do work. I was just me. And it was nice because I had dated Ben and I had like put in so much work and effort to date him. Not to say that like our friendship was like a scam, because it was not. Like prior to us dating, like I genuinely cared about him as a person, but I had also like pined after him in the same sense, because I was like, he's such a great person. And so it was kind of nice to have the roles reversed, essentially, to feel chased after and wanted. And I had put the rose colored glasses on, and after a while of us dating, we had dated for maybe almost a year, if I'm not mistaken, and he had broken up with me to date someone else. And he actually always gave the girl that he dated after me the impression that he was single, like he was flirting with her without my knowledge, all of that jazz, right? So of course that's going to break down my self-esteem, because I don't know what I did wrong. I feel like I'm like this horrible person because he doesn't want to be with me. And I just was like just completely broken down as a person. And the worst part is that after they broke up, him and I had reconnected, and I don't remember exactly how it happened. I want to say like I was trying to heal, but there was just something that like made me always wonder why I wasn't good enough. And when he like circled back around to me, God, this sounds so bad. Like I like had my walls up, but then they were just all broken down because like I still cared and I still had like some unresolved feelings, and we dated again. And he cheated on me with an ex. And during like this time, he had gaslit me and made me feel like I was invalid for like wanting to know what was going on with his ex, or like why they were texting. And it was frustrating because he was always on his phone, and like I come to find out that like he was texting probably multiple other women. And not only that, but like that was like towards the end of our relationship in that breath, because I did eventually, I think, take him back a third time, which I think the more you take someone back, the less they value you. And it was like every time he came back into my life and I took him back, he treated me worse and worse until he abused me. And the problem with that is that I did not value myself enough, and I did not know my worth enough, that I continuously let him treat me like shit. Continuously worked my ass off, working two jobs and cooking and cleaning and doing these long 14, 15, 16-hour days of working, and in between shifts coming back to cook a meal or to clean a little bit or whatever. Like I was exhausted. I don't know how I did it. And it was just like I felt like I constantly had to prove myself to be in a relationship with him, and I didn't. Like I am such a catch. And like if he can't see that, then like someone else will. Because the thing is like I was giving wifey material to somebody who damn well did not deserve it. And like we were on and off, and like I had almost like envisioned that he would like propose to me, and he did, with like a ring that I had bought from like a bath bomb. And he like looked at it and thought it was really pretty, I guess, and like turned around and was like, "Will you marry me?" And I just stood there. I was like, I think in that moment I realized like we were never going to work. It was never going to be us, because first of all, I came out as gay like years later and realized like I don't like men, I like masculinity, and there's a huge difference between those two. But also I was not valued, and I didn't want that for the rest of my life. And I feel like I was struggling because at that moment in time I did not feel like I deserved better because I did not know my worth. And that's like the whole point of this episode, right? So after that, I want to say like I don't know when he started cheating on me. I don't know if it was the whole time because, again, he had cheated on me previously and I took him back. Like, of course, like he's just going to go and cheat. Like, he thinks he's doing nothing wrong because I took him back. And word for word, he did tell a friend that he wasn't doing anything wrong. And I'm like, but you're cheating. You are talking to other people. You're commenting on other girls' figures, their ass. Like you're straight up being sexual with other girls. I don't care if you're physically with them or not, which my guess he probably was at some point, but I have no idea. I'm just speculating with that. But I have seen text messages straight up being sexual and like him saying to other girls that he's not in a relationship even though we were together for like a year and he had like proposed to me, even though I very awkwardly denied that request but at the same time didn't accept. Beyond me. I should have just said no and walked out. But at the time I was living with him and I had no way out, essentially. Like, I was afraid to go to my mom and my stepdad and be like, I don't want this, but I can't afford to live on my own. Can I come back? Like, I was afraid. And obviously, that was a struggle in and of itself. But with the whole process of being with him, it was like he was breadcrumbing his time and attention towards me. And then he would be on himself and be like, I feel like you're not attracted to me anymore, blah, 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 which was true. But at the same time, I had missed the person that he was when I first met him. And I think I was hanging on to that for way too long when he had changed as a person, and even I had changed as a person. Like, I was very, very like that emo scene type of girl with the black hair, didn't have any piercing, like nose piercings, but I was working on the gauges or plugs or tunnels, whatever you want to call them. I forget exactly what I was wearing. And then I kind of got more feminine, more girly. I like dyed my hair red. I was wearing purple. I was wearing colors. Like, I had kind of changed too, but like that comes with growing up, like being in high school and then being like 21, 22. Like, that changes, you know? So, with that being said, not only like have we changed and he kind of like projected his insecurities onto me, he was also at the same time when he was saying that he was actively cheating on me. And I know that part for a fact because this was closer to when he assaulted me. But with that being said, I think there were a lot of signs, not only that, but like he would make me feel like I did not deserve better or that I could not get better than him. And it was like he was this like hot commodity and like I would never do better than him. And that was just like how I felt in that relationship. Like, I always had to constantly cook and clean and prove myself while he worked these long days as a mechanic. But like, yes, I get it, he would work these long days, but he would come home and rest and I would come home and clean. And even though we worked similar hours, and I'm going to say similar because he would wake up at like 6 in the morning, probably come home around 6 at night, right? And that was because he worked one job and it was like an hour or so away. So he had to drive. And he would carpool with his friend that also worked there for a little while. And for me, I had 2 jobs. I had my car. Like, I was, doing split shifts essentially because I was working 2 jobs, whatever. So I was like up for like 7 or 8 in the morning, went to work, ended my shift, would come back home, do what I needed to do, and then from like 5 to 10 or 5 to 11 would work another shift. And I would come home and he would, like, there would be dirty dishes in the sink with like mold in them because I was exhausted, and I would finally get fed up because he was like actively on the bed playing video games or watching Netflix or something. And I was just like, what the fuck? Right? And I'm gonna get a little bit like deeper into things, but things that made me feel like he didn't like want to be with me, which now looking back, I think he just has problems and like needs mental help. He would masturbate to a certain TV show that had Hispanic women, and I would be like asleep, and I would like hear that next to me, that he would be like right next to me, just like watching TV, watching this, and like jacking off. And I was just like, I would pretend to sleep because I was embarrassed. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, go to the bathroom or give yourself some privacy. Don't do it in the bed right next to me. Like, that's not it. And I think he was trying to hint at when he said that like I wasn't attracted to him anymore, that like we weren't having sex, and we weren't, because I was exhausted and busy and tired and working my freaking butt off day after day. And when I would have a break or a day off, I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was running around, doing other shit. And I was just like, when do I have the time? Like, I am too tired to be having sex. Like, and I'm 21. Are you kidding me? Like, I had my prime motherfucking years of my life, my prime years spent on this. I should be flirting with people, enjoying myself, figuring out who I am. Instead, I'm acting like I'm in a married couple, and I'm not married, and I don't have a ring. Like, make that make sense. Um, and what ended our relationship is that I was asleep and I had woken up to him sexually assaulting me. And that was something I had to go through therapy for years for, to really like process that. And I guess at this point it means nothing to me because I had like worked so much through it. But the part that upset me the most is him doing that and knowing that like I had opened up about previously being raped. And I felt so devalued in that moment and so hurt in that moment because like I was just sexually assaulted by my partner who knew like I had strict boundaries. Like, don't touch me if I'm not awake. Like, I never said that, but I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to. Unless you state like clear boundaries with your partner, like, I'm okay with this, don't do it. Because they're asleep. How do you know that's like what they want? Anyway, I'm not going to get heated about this because this is not the point of the episode. The point of the episode is that I did not know my worth, and I stayed with a man on and off for 6 years. 6 years. Because I did not value myself, and I let him devalue me as the years went on until I absolutely could not do it anymore. And I am so thankful now that I had went through that, only because I know that I am a strong motherfucker, and I know that I will never accept the bare minimum or ever accept anything close to what was given to me. I know that I deserve way more, and ever since that relationship, I have watched for signs. of any mental health issues, narcissism, like anything that is like a red flag, like I'm booking it out that door. And it's so funny that I say that because I had obviously like had relationships after that weren't as pretty, but were not abusive, so I accepted it. Did you hear that? They weren't as bad because they weren't abusive, so I accepted it. Let that sink in. I did not take the time after Alec that I should have to heal, to go through therapy, to really process everything. And yes, I did process it and I did go to therapy, but it took years and other relationships and realizing I am not okay. And I had then moved on with Jeff, and Jeff treated me okay. He wasn't the perfect person, but he also wasn't for me. And I wasn't the perfect person, and I wasn't for him. And that's okay. He wasn't abusive. He was something else after our breakup, but I digress. Because he is not a part of today's storyline. I move on and I decide that I have been openly, I don't want to say openly, but I had identified as bisexual since I was 13 years old. And I finally decided to have the courage to talk to women, to be with women, and explore a side of myself that I know had been like dying, because I was showing signs during my relationship with Jeff that like I was queer. Obviously, I was openly bisexual to Jeff, like he knew. And I had like even, I will say this because I don't want it to ever get misconstrued by anyone who knows me. I had been with a female while I was with him, with his knowledge and with his consent. With that being said, that was the moment that I realized that I liked being with women more than I liked being with men. And it came a long time for me to come to terms with that, because I had always identified it as bisexual, but every time I dated a man, I was missing something. Every time I dated a man, it wasn't good enough. Every time I dated a man, something in me knew that I was missing out. I didn't know what I was missing out on, but I knew that it was not what I wanted. It was not what my heart desired. It was something just sitting there that I couldn't explain, that I didn't know, like the truth. I didn't know I don't know how I want to explain it. It's like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. Let's put it that way, because I did love and care for Jeff. However, I think I struggled being in love and really just like melting over somebody like I do with Larissa. Like, I will show her off every chance I get. I will talk about her every chance I get. I want her and I want to be with her. And it's just like this craving for her that I had never experienced with a man. It was never like I crave this person. And yes, when I was younger, when I was with Alec, when I was with Jeff, like I definitely had glimpses of like wanting somebody, but I had struggled with that because I had tried to come out to my mom when I was 13. And I told her I liked women. I didn't say I was bisexual. I didn't say anything about sexuality. I was still exploring. Like, I didn't know if I was bi or pan or what. Like, I was still figuring that out. But I had written a note and put it under my mom's pillow, and I said, I think I like women. And when my mom saw that, I was in a long distance relationship with a girl. If she ever sees this, hi Maddie. Her name is Maddie. That's all I remember. I'm not even kidding you. All I remember about Maddie is that she had blonde hair. We met on Tumblr, and I forget her last name. I don't know what happened to us because that time was in my life was so harsh that I blocked everything out. Um, so she'll probably never even know that I'm talking about her unless she somehow comes across this. But that was my first girlfriend. And my mom was like, this is a phase. You're going to get over it. Like, it's just a phase. And with her denial, it was very hard to accept my sexuality. So I kind of scooted back into the closet. My dad is a Jehovah's Witness, and when I was trying to have a relationship with him, being gay is a sin, right? So I'm struggling with my mom not accepting my sexuality. I'm struggling with wondering if I'm like a sinner. Like I have all of this religious trauma, this trauma from like my parents not accepting me. So I definitely scooted back into the closet and like just dated men. But I always dated men that were feminine or just like had something about them that like gave off mask lesbian. um but anyway, I digress. Um so I decided to try women, right? After Jeff and after trying to be with a woman sexually, I was like, I love this. I see why guys love this. Like this is everything. And it was crazy because my coming out experience did not end after Jeff. I slept with a man after Jeff and I hated it. I hated the experience. I felt disgusting afterwards. I had like post nut clarity in like a sense. Because, okay, the reason I say that is because he talked about that and he was like, he thought it was great, right? And I was like, it would have been great for me if I wasn't gay, probably. Like, it was enjoyable, it was fun, but after being with a woman and then being with a man, I was like, what the fuck is this? Where are your where are your titties? No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. This is not being the episode that I imagined it would be, but that's okay because I feel like we need to talk about all of this because like knowing your worth comes from like knowing yourself. So my whole coming out story is about knowing my worth. Anyway, I digress. So I had slept with a man, and this was a man that I had like a fantasy crush on. Like I thought he was attractive, he was funny, he was fun to talk to, right? So I was like, okay, like let me climb that like a tree. Why not? And so we met up, we had sex. He said that like normally he has like post nut clarity and girls like aren't attractive afterwards, and I was like yeah, you know, it's so great. But like at the time, like we were talking about like literally after we had sex we were talking about women. And like I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm bisexual, blah blah blah. So we were like talking about women and like women we know, and we were like, oh yeah, that person's really hot, blah blah blah, whatever. We were just talking, like we're friends because we were friends, and I was just like we had like this mutual like I think you're attractive type of thing going. But that was the moment I realized that I didn't like having sex with men because I didn't enjoy it. And I didn't have to pretend that I enjoyed it after because he wasn't like my man, you know? I wasn't dating him. We literally just like planned to hook up and we did. And I was like, all right, it's like, we're good. And then maybe a week or two later, um, I I was with this girl, and this girl and I were in some sort of on and off toxic relationship. We brought out the worst in each other. And I wish I could remember everything fondly, and I am trying because I know that I'm sure that she is a great person, but she is not great for me, and I'm not great for her. Um, but that was like my first relationship with a woman that was not long distance. And that did not go well. And I know that everyone says your first like WLW relationship is just gonna like bring you off the rockers. And I I truly in that moment, like, I had realized that I was gay because I felt so passionately, and I there were just a million reasons why. I knew when I came out to her. I was like, I'm not bisexual, I'm gay. Like, end of story. And this was like after like we had spent all day together, we had sex. Like, I was just like, I don't it was just like this overcoming feeling. I literally cried, and I was just like, I can't believe I'm saying this. Like, I'm gay. Like, I don't know where I've been the past 20 something years of my life, but here I am, like, telling you, someone I've known for like a couple of months, if that. Like, okay. And it was a long time coming. Let's be really honest with each other. It was a long time coming, but I'm so glad that I stepped into myself, because I'm not kidding you when I say after that moment, I accepted myself. And that was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was accept who I was and accept myself. And once I stepped into that, I know not everyone's going to have the same story. I know not everyone is, going to come out and be like, I finally know who I am. But that was the biggest stepping stone for me, knowing my worth, because I always knew something was off or wrong about me, and I could never explain it. I came out and I was like, wait, this is exactly who I am and exactly what I want. Like, I finally took the time to know myself. And it felt so good. Like, I finally knew who I was. I finally said, I'm that girl. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I am doing everything for me. Do you know how good that felt? So, with that being said, after coming out, I still obviously struggled with self-esteem issues and knowing my worth, because I'm like a newly out lesbian, right? And I'm like dating girls, trying to figure everything out. I was like, this is a world that I did not know about. I am struggling. Of course you're going to feel insecure when you're first out, because you're like, what is going on? So I finally like took a breath and I said, I am amazing. I am gay. I am happy. I am myself. And I just kept repeating different affirmations. And one thing about affirmations is that they help so much to rewire your brain. And ever since then, anytime I had some sort of negative self-thought, there are times, I must admit, where I have not done this, but majority of the time, if I find myself or catch myself negative self-talking, stop that shit immediately. Rewire your brain. Maybe you have this mindset of like, I'm not good enough. Change your thinking. And it's easier said than done. Always is. Always is. But I promise you, affirmations will help. Whether you need to write them down on little index cards or take, I will admit, one day, I'm going to tell you one thing that I did that really helped me. One day, I was really struggling. I was depressed. I was sad. I was crying. I was just alone, isolated, vulnerable, everything you can imagine. I took a notepad. I started writing affirmations on different sticky notes and sticking them everywhere. I wrote one about food. I put it on the fridge. I wrote one about my looks. I put it on my bathroom mirror. I wrote one on my bed about needing sleep. Another one about being important to continue living. Like, there were so many sticky notes. And if you, like, know me from that time, which was only a year ago, yeah, that was the most amazing thing I had ever done for myself. Buying myself flowers is cute. Giving myself little affirmations is cute. I decorated my entire apartment with sticky notes of affirmations, reminding myself I am that bitch. Reminding myself I deserve to be alive, that I deserve to be here, that I deserve to be happy, that rest is productive. That was a hard one for me. That I am beautiful, that I love my smile. I don't give a fuck about what anyone says about the color of my teeth because I have been bullied for that. That I love the color of my eyes because that's actually something that I love about myself is my eyes. That I am beautiful no matter what. Like, there were so many different affirmations. A couple that were like food related was like, I can eat what I want and I'll be okay because like I'm a diabetic and like I struggle with like, some foods where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't eat that. So many affirmations, and I promise you that made the biggest difference to my self-esteem because every single day I would turn on a light switch. There would be an affirmation right above that light switch. I read it. I would look in the mirror. There was an affirmation on the mirror. I would read it. Because I would look at these little affirmations and look at these little notes, and I'd be like, I needed to hear that today. Especially the ones where it was like, you're important, you need to be alive. Like, those ones really helped when I felt alone when I first moved here because I was struggling with making friends. I was struggling with feeling isolated, feeling alone, feeling, abandoned. And it was crazy because I felt abandoned, but no one abandoned me. I actively decided to walk away from everything I had ever known. And I struggled with the fear of abandonment for a while due to family issues. And I finally sat in those feelings for like the first time in years. And it was nice because I actually worked through trauma being alone. Like, alone every single day, right? This was before I made friends in San Antonio, and like my only friend was Tori, and I was like going out with her and having fun, and like, I had only done that a couple of times, and the rest of my time was just spent alone in my 600 square foot apartment. Like, that's it. Those affirmations helped, and they're so important to knowing your worth because when your self-esteem has been broken down, even if it hasn't and you just have low self-esteem, because that does happen, that exists, affirmations will help you change your mindset. and posting them all around your room or all around your apartment or wherever you go in your car. I don't care. Wherever you need to post them, I promise you, you will see them wherever you see them every day. You will be happy that they are there, and you read it over and over and over until you believe it. And it might take a while, and that's okay, because guess what? We're here on this earth for a while. So couple days, couple weeks, couple months won't hurt anybody. But those affirmations were up on those walls for a good couple months until I finally decided to take them down and be okay with who I was as a person. So start with things that you believe in. Like for me, I started with a physical thing because physical is a struggle for me. I started with my eyes because I actually like my eyes. So that was an easy affirmation. Then do a hard one. Maybe you struggle with your weight. Put that down. Maybe you struggle with the color of your teeth. Start with that one. Maybe you struggle with being a good person or thinking you're a good person. Start with that one. Easy, hard, easy, hard. And trust me, it is a process to write and think of affirmations, but they feel so good when you're reading them and you finally believe them. Like, I remember just like looking up at the wall and seeing "your smile is beautiful" and crying, because I finally had come to the point where I liked my smile. I liked my teeth. I wasn't insecure about it anymore. I said, I don't give a what anyone thinks. Like, I am happy. And it was nice. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, all it took was for me to like sit here and just keep saying it to myself until I believed in it. Switching gears to writing affirmations. So, just to clarify, an affirmation is a short phrase or sentence that clearly and optimistically expresses whatever condition you desire to bring about. Affirmations leave no room for doubt, fear, or ambiguity. Whether you write affirmations or say them aloud, putting your intentions into words helps to focus your mind and empower you. As it is true with most things in life, there are right ways and wrong ways to design affirmations. These tips will help you word your affirmations effectively. 1. Keep it short. 2. Use only positive imagery. I didn't know that was going to happen. And 3. State your intention in the present tense as if the condition already exists. All right? So, let's do health for an example, because this is the example the book shows. The right way to write an affirmation: I am completely healthy in mind, body, and spirit. The wrong way: I don't have any illnesses or injuries. So, what's the difference between the two? Well, if you guessed it, the first one, or the first example, affirms what you seek. Goodness. What you said is affirming what you're looking for, which is health, good health. The second example, or the wrong example, makes you think of conditions that you won't want or don't want, which is illnesses and injuries. It is making you think of what you don't want. And here is an affirmation that I had said when Nick Jonas came on the screen with his diabetes. And I was watching Disney Channel, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I sure hope I never get diabetes. That seems impossible." I have been a type 1 diabetic for 15 years. Thank you. And that is why we don't say or write affirmations that are wrong. Because shit like that happens. The universe is very funny. Very funny. But you know what? I am glad that I'm a diabetic because I feel a sense of purpose advocating for diabetes and having a diabetic community around me. So, thank you, universe, for the diabetes. However, I will take it from here. Okay, anyway. Here's another example between right and wrong. Right. I now have a job that's perfect for me. Wrong. I will get the perfect job. Remember how we said we want to keep it short and sweet, but we also want to keep it in the present tense as if it already exists? The first one, or the right one, indicates that the job you're looking for is yours right now. Whereas the second indicates that you'll eventually get the job that you want, but it could be way off in the future. You never know. You left it open to interpretation. So being specific is usually a good thing when creating affirmations. If your goal is to lose 25 pounds or you've got your heart set on acquiring a 1965 red Mustang convertible with black leather seats, for instance, list the pertinent details in your affirmation. But sometimes you don't know all the ins and outs of a situation, or you don't want to limit your options, as in the job example we just considered. Sometimes it's best to let the universe work out the fine points. So, for example, if you don't know exactly what you want, you can say, "I now have a job that's perfect for me," versus a job in this or a job in that. You don't always have to work out the logistics or the finer points. You can make an affirmation if you don't know what you want, but you have an idea of what you want, and that's okay. Just remember, the universe will take that it is open to interpretation. But if it's a job that's perfect for you, then you'll get a job that's perfect for you. It might not be what you imagined or envisioned, but it's perfect for you. So just keep that in mind. So, for example, I want to actually read this one because this is an example that is in the book that I am reading. It says, "Here's a case in point. A friend of mine wanted to attract more money into her life, so she wrote this affirmation. I now earn more than enough money for everything I need and desire. When I read what she had written, I immediately noticed that she had limited her potential by using the word earn. I suggested she revise her affirmation so it said, I now receive more than enough money for everything I need and desire. Soon afterward, she got an unexpected tax refund that fulfilled her affirmation. Why? Because she received it rather than earned it. When you earn something, you leave that open to interpretation of when it's going to happen. When you receive it, the universe don't care how you get it. The universe is going to find a good way to give it to you, a legal way to give it to you. Maybe you win the lottery, maybe you get a nice tax refund, maybe you get a Christmas bonus. but it's not going to wait for you to earn it. You're just going to receive it. It flows to you. And that's the idea of the universe. You're not limiting yourself when you write an affirmation. I hope that helps, because this has really changed the way that I view affirmations, the way that I write them, the way that I speak them. I am very careful now, because there are times when I will say an affirmation without thinking about it, and Lord, I just hope the universe doesn't fuck up with it. For example, I had said last episode, I think, about my Taylor Swift tickets. That was fun. There wasn't really much problematicness to it. But I did get Taylor Swift tickets, and I did indeed search for Taylor Swift tickets. So I wasn't just like open to receiving it. I looked on Ticketmaster as well. Another one, for example, I said, I don't care, I'm going to California. My dream is to visit California. Okay, how? I had applied to a job, and training was going to be in California, near San Francisco area. I don't know if I want to go to San Francisco, and I don't know if I want to go without my girlfriend. I left it open to the universe's interpretation, and then when I saw it, I turned it down. I was off-put by it, because I wanted to be able to go with my girlfriend. I didn't want to have to go for work training. That's not fun. I mean, yeah, it would be cool. I would get to go see San Francisco, but my girlfriend wouldn't be able to go because the training was on our anniversary, and also during the week that she decided to pick up a shift. So the universe did not grant me to continue with that job, or that, what do you call it? Like, I effed up in the interview, and, like, it was for the better. But that manifestation did not peak. It did not come through, because I didn't state certain specifics. I do want to go to California, but you know what? I also want my girlfriend to be there. And I don't want it to have to be for job training. Maybe, one day I'll get to go with my girlfriend for fun. I'm going to California with my girlfriend for fun. We are going to explore San Diego, LA, San Francisco, and other places that we deem fun. A little not so short, but an affirmation at its finest that I should have said, rather than quote unquote, I don't care, I'm going to California one of these days. I didn't say one of these days, by the way. That's why the affirmation came so quickly. I didn't say one of these days. I don't think. I don't know. Anyway, that's moot. That's besides the point. Point is that when you're working on affirmations, you have to be very careful how you state them, when you state them, your intention behind them, because the universe might not give you exactly what you want. And it's okay to leave certain things open to interpretation, right? Like, I now have the job that is perfect for me. Okay, well, I don't know what I want, so as long as it's perfect for me, that's fine, right? But if you want specifics, if you envision specifics, make sure you state them. For example, I'm going to California with Larissa. That's important to me, so I am going to state with Larissa. We are visiting San Diego, LA, and San Francisco. Not just San Francisco, not Oakland, because Oakland was where the job was. I digress. It was close to Oakland. It wasn't in, but that's where the job was. Anyway, we are going to California for fun, not a job. There's certain affirmations that you can adjust. And You just have to think about them before you complete them, essentially. So I hope those tips helped, because this is a long episode and I knew it was going to be long, but yeah. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching Many Mistakes Ago podcast. You guys mean the world to me. The world, like the whole entire world. And I will see you next Wednesday for next week's episode. Love you.